My stepdad turned everyone I love against me by convincing my girlfriend I was a cheater. Years later, everything came back to bite him. That night, I watched helplessly from across the room as my stepbrother held my girlfriend while she cried, and simultaneously my stepdad called me every nasty word he could think of. He escorted me out of the house while telling me if he saw me on his property again, he'd call the police. I was stunned, shocked, and betrayed, but I still hadn't put the pieces together. I spent the next several weeks trying to contact them all to no avail. After those weeks, I got a call from my stepdad who told me to stop trying to contact and that I was never welcome in his house or around his family again. I tried to call my mother over this time to no avail as well. After about a month, all I got from anyone was a text from my mother saying how sad and disappointed she was. My mom didn't really have much family, so they always spent holidays with my stepdad's side. They all shunned me as well. I saw their Christmas pictures on Facebook with my ex-fiancé present and seemingly in good spirits, which crushed me. The only family I had that would talk to me at all was my dad's brother and his family. Despite that, even they all seemed wary of me too. The only one that I think truly believed me was my uncle. I don't think I'd have made it without him, honestly. He showed me what I'd been missing in fatherly love, and I've never been so grateful for anyone. About 6 months after it all, I moved away from the East Coast and settled out in California, needing to get away from it all. A little less than a year after I moved, I got a call from an area code from back home, which I rarely got anymore. I picked up, and it was my stepbrother, whom I promptly hung up on. He called me back, and I ignored it, but it stuck with me all day. I decided that if he called back again, I'd pick up, which he did later that night. It was awkward at best. He told me my ex was really torn up for a long time. It took her nearly a year to even start looking again for a significant other. A few months into her doing so, my stepdad encouraged him to ask her on a date, which he did. Things went okay for the first couple outings, but never really clicked. Apparently, he told my stepdad about that, and the idiot told him, "I didn't get rid of your stepbrother for nothing. She's a great girl. You need to figure it out with her." I almost collapsed, and it was quickly replaced with anger. Apparently, he had gotten a girl to pose as someone I had an affair with, and forged some message screenshots to have her send to my ex. He told me he'd said it to him about a month ago, and he didn't know what to do. Apparently, it bothered him enough that he couldn't just sit on the info anymore, so he told me and said he was going to tell my mom and fiancé the next day. He called me first as a courtesy so he knew what to say to them regarding me. I told him where I was and that I'd appreciate it if they didn't immediately contact me so I had some time to digest it all. Update: my stepbrother called me this morning and told me exactly what happened this past week. So apparently what my stepfather said wasn't exactly what he told me. He elaborated more and said he was very careful with his words so as to not incriminate himself, per him, heavily and very clearly implying what he did without directly saying what he did. The thing about my stepbrother is he's much smarter than me. Instead of just walking to my mother and ex with that and getting into a shouting match with his dad, he took a different course that I wouldn't have thought of. He got a hold of my ex's phone and found the other girl. She said it took him forever to backtrack it. He gave her a call and got her to meet him out in public. That's where it all came to head. She was a Tinder match with my stepfather, which I think pretty clearly indicates that he had been sleeping around on my mom. That irritated me even more for obvious reasons. This girl alleges they did not sleep together. However, whether that is the truth did not matter to me. What does is my stepbrother talked to her and pulled on her heartstrings with the story and all that had happened. She told him what happened, $11,000 for a phone call, that was the deal. He told her what to say and supplied the pictures of evidence. She made the call, and that was that. My stepbrother asked her if she could tell my mother and ex. She agreed for free, and that happened yesterday. My stepfather is on a business trip until Wednesday, so it was the four of them there. She came in and spilled it all to my mom and ex. Bro said the tears started almost immediately from all three of them. After everything, he told them I was in California and that he'd tell them when I wanted to be contacted. At the end of the call with my brother, he said they both wanted to call me today, and I told him that'd be fine. So I sat and waited until my mom called. First thing she said was that I sounded different. I almost hung up right then. Took all I had to just say, yeah. She broke down immediately after that. I really thought I'd feel more. I'd be lying if I said I felt nothing, but the pain of it all just took hold of me more than her words. She asked if I'd gotten her texts. I said no. I guess she'd been trying to text over the last year, but I had her number blocked. If she really wanted to reach me, she could have. Maybe that's a little crappy, but I know it's true. I pretty much told her that I'd be willing to build some semblance of a relationship back with time, and she was happy with that. She also told me she was getting all her necessities out of the house before my stepfather got home, and she'd be filing for divorce immediately. I believe her too. She may be a poor excuse for a mother in my eyes, but she's never been someone to take half measures. I really wish I could be there to see that a hole's face when he comes back to an empty home. My ex got the phone next and did the same tearful apologies my mom did. I felt a little more with her. I actually tried to get her to think and remember how many times I told her I'd never do that to her and how much I loved her. She was beside herself, and to be honest, I'm glad we talked. For about half an hour, and I really thought it was pleasant. Even though I told myself for over a year now that it had never happened again, thought there could still be something for us. She told me she still had the ring which I used to propose to her. Yeah, we were engaged, and it made me upset. I told her to give it to my mom because it didn't belong to either of us anymore. I could tell that really crushed her, and selfishly, I wanted it to. She asked if she could call or text me. I told her it was fine, but to not expect a prompt response either way, which she understood. Pretty much gave her the same ultimatum as my mom, though I said any chances of us having a future relationship were very slim. She said she understood that too. I talked to my brother last and thanked him for everything he'd done. He was helping my mom get her stuff out of his father's house. He apologized for all that had happened and told me he was going to go tell the rest of the family everything as well. Update 2. I got a call from a number back home. I deleted most of my numbers a while ago from anyone I wasn't talking with. I picked up, and it was my stepfather. He said hello, and I hung up and blocked the number. I immediately called my mom, ex, and brother. They're all safe. They're not around him. Mom is in a hotel that he doesn't know about. Ex and brother are at their residences, and both say they feel adequately protected. My brother said he got a call from him this morning when he got home after my mom wasn't there and wouldn't answer. Brother told him what happened and not to contact any of them. Not sure how long he sat there, but he called me around 3 p.m. about an hour ago. I got a message from a different number saying we need to talk. I assume that's him. I haven't responded. That's the latest update. Update 3. Stepdad's mother called me. I had her number saved because she was the only person on that family's side that was ever nice to me. Not going to lie, I was a bit worried the call may have been him trying to gather some info or something, but it wasn't. She was very nice and wished me well while also apologizing on behalf of the family. I thanked her and wished her the best too. Shocking he came from that woman. Update 4. I sat on that message from what it turns out was, in fact, my stepfather. My curiosity got the better of me, and I called him. I wish I could say the call provided me something, but that would be disingenuous. Hearing his voice made my skin crawl. He asked how I was. I told him to cut the crap, and he laughed. Nothing incriminating on his end, of course. Talk was about 3 minutes long about nothing. I did ask him why he wasn't content with me being with her. He said I wasn't man enough and that a woman like her would have been wasted on me. He told me that me being medically discharged from the military proved that I wasn't strong enough for her. According to him, she was such a sweet, gentle, and naive girl with such a kind soul that she would one day get extremely hurt in life and get taken advantage of. Apparently, he said that when that inevitable moment happened, she needed someone strong like his son to take care of her. I paused for a long moment after he said that. I couldn't believe it. Then again, however, he has a very traditional way of thinking relationship-wise, which is especially funny because it shows how much he never knew about our relationship or her in general. Without going off on a tangent, my ex is pretty notably against gender norms. There wasn't really much to take away from the conversation other than that. I don't really know what he wanted, but I told him not to call me again and hung up. Not very eventful on that front. I flew back home prior to the weekend last week and went to my uncle's birthday party. Had a good time, And the family was very welcoming and apologetic for not being more supportive after everything. I talked with my brother and set up a meeting at his place with my ex and mother on Wednesday night. On Wednesday, I went over there and got what I expected. A lot of tears, a lot of apologies. I admittedly had a tough time keeping it together. I talked with both of them and my brother all independently. Mom has already filed for divorce, which is good, and I appreciate her doing so. We had a decent conversation. You can tell it's strained, but I think we're making some progress towards healing. My stepbrother and I had a good talk. It was nice to talk with him in person. He apologized for everything that had happened, and I accepted it. I can definitely tell he feels remorse for how it all shook out and for the work he put into to make it right. I definitely don't hold a grudge. My ex and I had a very long discussion through most of the night. We'd been talking over the phone for the last couple of weeks already. A lot of it was just catching up. We're obviously two very different people now after nearly a year and a half away. We had some more serious discussions later on about everything, about how screwed up it all was and how broken I was by it all. She told me she'd already seen a therapist and asked if I would be willing to come with her to her appointment Thursday. She's gone above and beyond for everything I could have asked of her the last few weeks, and I am really truly appreciative of it. I went with her to her therapy appointment, which I feel was very productive for everyone. Her therapist seemed to be very appreciative of me being there as well, so we stayed talking for a while after, and I decided to ask if she wanted to go out Saturday night. So that's the plan right now. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I wanted to show her that I appreciate the effort she's putting in to try and mend what's been broken, and selfishly, I'd like to see her in a setting that isn't like the ones we've been in. Update 5. The date went very well. We had a nice night together, got dinner, went to an arcade after, which we used to do somewhat frequently. It's the first date I've been on in nearly a year and a half, and I enjoyed myself a lot. We went back to her place after and talked, and this may have been a mistake, but we couldn't keep our hands off each other, and we slept together. I had actually been in the gym a lot since seeing her, and I could tell that she definitely noticed and very much loved the changes in my body. Anyway, we are going to discuss the next steps during this week before I head back to California. The distance part is going to be the hardest part, but I think it'll help keep the rose-colored glasses off if we aren't with each other constantly. I genuinely do think we have a chance of getting back with each other because our fallout was not our fault. Sure, you can argue that she should have trusted me, but that's in the past. Crap, now that I say it, she really should have trusted me, huh?